guys? Welcome back to another TheSportUniverse Reacts. It's a late upload today, busy day. So I'm just gonna, not much to react to. I'm gonna react to the biggest points of the NFL Week 1, since I think that's a pretty major sports thing to focus on. We pretty much covered everything, mostly that I'm gonna say in the podcast yesterday. So if you want to click off this video, go right ahead. So one of the first things I want to talk about is three things. First thing, the Ravens and Dolphins game. What a blowout. I kept on. I was talking about this on the podcast. How I was watching the Jets game, as you know, I'm a big Jets fan, and I kept on seeing the score going up. It was like 21-0 at halftime. Then 28-0. No, it was 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, or something like that. It was some crazy score. I was like, Jesus Christ. First off, the Ravens have an explosive offense. On the downside, or the upside for some people, the Dolphins suck. There's no other way about it besides that. If you're going to lose to a team 59-10 in Week 1 when you're supposed to be like the most hyped up to play and everything, it really doesn't bode well for the rest of the season, and I don't think anyone sees the Dolphins as being a team that goes through the league like nothing and gets into the playoffs. It's quite possible they lose 0 games. Their starting quarterback is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has his good seasons at times, but is getting older. I said yesterday on the podcast, I can't really name anyone besides Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen on that roster, and I think that it's the same for a lot of people, which doesn't bode well for talent and everything else. And for the Ravens, I mean, Lamar Jackson showed a lot. He didn't do a lot of running. It was a lot of passing. Good passes, throwing for a lot of yards. I mean, he was the reason they got so many points. Well, one of the reasons, obviously, but being the leader of the offense as a quarterback, he definitely had a big role in that. And he proved a lot of people wrong that, first off, last year wasn't a fluke. And second, he's a bona fide starting quarterback, one that can throw and run, a dual threat. They have kind of a similar, this is not really what I want to talk about, but I was just thinking about it, their starting and backup quarterback are kind of the similar. They have RG3 as their backup and Lamar Jackson. And the one thing that makes me think of, Lamar Jackson might be one injury away from his career being done. You don't want to think like that, but that's what kind of happens to a lot of these running quarterbacks. But that's for another time. Second big thing, the Browns. I've been thinking about this more, and I think what Nick said yesterday on the podcast was something very important to take away. The Browns could be really good, or they could be really bad. It seems like they might be, like Nick said, more, what was the exact, I liked how he phrased it. I don't know, but what he basically said is that they have really no meat to their team. It's just a lot of big name players, Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, people like that. Obviously, they have talent, but sometimes that talent doesn't mesh well together, and there's a reason Odell Beckham, Jimmy, Jarvis Landry aren't on their other teams that they previously were on. Another big thing from that game was that the Browns had 18 penalties. Obviously, teams have their bad weeks. Maybe it was just week 1, but not a lot's trending in the right direction for the Browns. I know it's week 1, but losing how they did to the Titans and not really showing anything week 1 is a little scary for Browns fans. But another thing that did stand out from that game is how the whole city has basically taken the Browns on. Like, you saw, like, the stadium was packed, and it's week 1, but there's definitely a different feeling for Cleveland fans with the Browns, which is nice to see. Third big thing I wanted to focus on was, what was it? Oh, Nick Foles getting injured. So Nick Foles has a broken clavicle, and he's out indefinitely. I think he's out for the season. And when season-ending injuries happen week 1, it is so deflating to a team. Luckily, their backup quarterback, who's a young player, did well, which is a nice thing to see. But Nick Foles was supposed to be like possibly their like franchise quarterback for a few years. Nick Foles, he finally got like an opportunity besides being the Eagles' backup. He's had other opportunities, but I don't know. I'm sure it felt different for Jaguars fans, and there was a reason they signed him. Nick Foles has become a quarterback that is a legend and can do some really good things for a team. And once again, I was watching the Jets game, and they did a game break. I talked about this on the podcast. They did a game break showing like this great play Nick Foles made, and then the next game break to that game, he was injured. And I'm sure that's deflating for Jaguars fans. There's a lot of injuries like that where it's just like, it seems like the whole season's ruined just based off one play in week 1. So those are the 3 big things from that week. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make this like a series where I cover the 3 biggest storylines of the week. I feel like week 1's a pretty important week to cover. It's probably not going to be 16 of these. That seems kind of boring, like boring content. So that's another Sport Universe Reacts. Week 1 was fun, if you want to say, not for Jets fans, so whatever. Keep watching our content. Kevin Durant video almost had 10,000 views. Here we are. I mean, who wouldn't want to be at 10,000 views? 75 subscribers. It's the road to 80. Buy some t-shirts. No one has bought any, but listen, if you buy a t-shirt and you send me a picture you bought it, I'll give you a shout out in the video. It's not that big of a deal right now, I guess, but maybe the video will go big. I don't know. So keep watching our stuff. Keep subscribing. I'm trying to get articles out. It's kind of a struggle right now with school starting, but eventually I'll get back into structure. So thanks for watching. See you on Thursday. Actually, one other thing. We have 2 videos that could go out tomorrow. If you want to put in the comments which we should do, it's either Jamal Adams or who's the other one? Jamal Adams or Julio Jones. Put in the comments below which one you want, and maybe we'll do it. Thanks. See you Thursday.